Hello and welcome to the Meditations and Musings Podcast. This is Elena Lipson. I am your divine self-care mentor and coach, and today we are talking about what to do when you wake up feeling shitty and not so good. So I'm going to share a story with you about my morning and how I was able to turn it around using some basic mindset tools, and one of my favorite tools that I'm going to share with you today called the Magic Morning Practice that I've been personally practicing for about 12 years now and have been teaching and giving away, and thousands of people have done it all over the world and absolutely love it. So first, before I do that, I wanted to share with you a very special announcement that my Divine Self-Care Circle, which is my self-care membership circle that has been around for, this is our 6th year, so over 5 years now, where we talk about all things self-care, inner self-care, mindset work. We touch on pretty much every topic you can think of in terms of relationships and marriage and parenthood and sexuality and meditation and inner work and how to express yourself, how to get visible, whether you are an entrepreneur or you are in a job and want to start a side hustle, or whether you are more focused on creating wellness in your life. We are talking about all of it. And for the month of February, if you're listening to this in the month of February 2020, then I have a very special offer for you that I am including all of my amazing programs that I have created over the last 7 years. They're all going to be accessible when you join in the month of February as a Valentine's gift for you. So that will include, of course, all the amazing content in the Divine Self-Care Circle already, but it will also include the 21 Days of Self-Care, the 66 Sacred Rituals, which is an audio course that's a daily meditation ritual, kind of a prompt to help you align your mind, your body, and your spirit. It'll also include the Virtual Retreat Academy, which is a 4-week course that helps you to create your own virtual retreats where you can teach anything from self-care to yoga to writing to technical business planning to Facebook ads, anything you want. I teach you how to structure as a virtual retreat so you can leverage your time and make more money at home. Then I will also include the Dream Calendar Workshop to help get you back on the calendar first based on your priorities. And I teach you my 3-layer framework, which helps you to put the most important things on the calendar first so they don't get slip away. So basically you're feeling like you have the capacity to do the things you actually want to do while taking care of the most important things and people in your life. And finally, the Inner Light Journal Experience, which is a 27-day journaling course that helps you to really get into self-reflection, self-awareness, and do it all with a guided way for you to not just, I know sometimes people open up their journal and they're like, I don't even know what to write, or you feel like you're writing the same thing for years. So this is a way to be guided over a month-long period and then create this beautiful journaling habit for yourself. And journaling is so transformational, but some people just don't think they can write. So I help you to do that regardless of whether you're a writer or you think you are not a writer. You will be able to benefit from this. So if you want to go ahead and access that, you can find it in the notes below here or in the notes in the podcast or in my Instagram bio, which is Elena_Lipson. If you have any questions, the best place to ask me that question is in the DMs of Instagram, Elena_Lipson. It's where I hang out the most, so go ahead and check it out there. So today we're answering this question. It's going to be a short and sweet episode because so many people think it's very, very complicated to change your mornings because it feels like a big undertaking, but truly it's not that big, but it can feel very big when you're going through it. So for example, the reason this prompted this episode is this morning I woke up, and I've been waking up early to go to a sunrise yoga class. So that in itself has been pretty miraculous. I am a morning person, but getting up even earlier to go out of my house to do a yoga class has been really powerful actually for me. But today I woke up even earlier than normal, and I found myself laying there having these thoughts, the ones that first cross your mind when you wake up. And there's a myriad of reasons why these thoughts happen. I'm going to share some of those with you. But if you find yourself laying awake in the dark of the morning where the light hasn't come up yet, and things always seem a little scarier in the dark, for me anyway, and I find that a lot of people share that sentiment. You might be rerunning conversations you had I should have said this. I could have said that. Why didn't I say that? Or maybe you're finding yourself worrying about the future, thinking like, oh, I can't really do that. I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe you're finding yourself worrying about money, trying to figure out where it's going to come from. Maybe you're in a little bit of like a panic because maybe you have debt. I mean, there's so many things that feel magnified and exaggerated early in the morning. Or perhaps you find you are criticizing yourself for not keeping promises to yourself, for not doing the things you want to do. Or maybe you've made decisions in the past that you just haven't been able to let go of. Or maybe you're judging yourself or others, maybe your loved ones, and everything seems very dramatic when you're up in the morning really early and you're not sleeping. And those first, or even if you wake up normally, maybe you wake up just on time, but those thoughts come flooding in. And all of a sudden you feel like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? In fact, one of my past circle members described it as feeling like she got punched in the face in the morning. Like she'd wake up and then boom, everything would just flood in. All of her complaints, all of her anxieties, all of her just things she wasn't happy about started getting very magnified in the morning. And a lot of people have that. You can't just get rid of those, right? They're just kind of part of being a human being. That's what I was gonna say. So how can you shift out of this? How can you shift out of this way of being? If it's something you're recognizing, first of all, the awareness piece is really big. Just recognizing that, you know what, I'm waking up in the morning and I'm having these thoughts and it makes me feel very deflated and not motivated. And now all of a sudden, all the things you wanted to do and create are feeling so far away and not doable, and feeling like it's a mountain to climb instead of a thing to do, right? So what can you do when this happens? And it happens to all of us. Sometimes it happens daily. It's like, I call it, you wake up and you have these like inner gremlins and they're awake. And they're almost like awake before your consciousness is awake, right? So that part of your frontal lobe that has more potentiality in it, has more positivity in it, is still sleeping. And so when you wake up, it's like, boom, the inner gremlins are up and they've been up all night practically, right? Running through your dreams. And now you're hearing them and you're feeling like, oh God, how am I going to get through this? And you might even have other people to take care of. So you find yourself in a really shitty mood and all of a sudden everything feels very, very sad, right? And maybe even a little bit like scary. So first of all, why does this happen? Well, there's several reasons that it happens. First of all, on a physical level, for some people, it could be low blood sugar. You haven't eaten all night and your low blood sugar is making your actual body, your physical body, feel anxious. And so you need to get some water, you need to move your body a little bit, you need to get a little sugar, like a little blood, a little food into your body, healthy sugars like a banana or fruit, something like that. So when unattended, another reason this happens is when unattended, our mind naturally hovers in the past or worries about the future. Like one of the biggest spiritual practices you'll hear over and over again in all sorts of modalities, in yoga, in meditation, all sorts of meditations, is being present in the moment, right? Being present as a practice, because our mind, again, when left unattended, and I would say sleep is one of the ways we are leaving our mind unattended, is that it naturally hovers in the past or worries about the future. So it's a very natural way for your mind to function. I mean, we have something like 70,000 thoughts a day, and those continue even into the night. So as soon as you wake up, your consciousness is like barely awake yet, but your subconscious is already functioning and you're hearing it, and like those thoughts are starting to come through. So it's a very natural thing to wake up with these thoughts in your mind. Another reason it happens is if you're overtired or you didn't sleep very well, and that can start to cause those thoughts to come up as well. I know when I'm tired, I don't make any decisions. No big decisions when I'm tired, right? Like I need a good night's sleep, probably a few days of good night's sleep in order to make any big decisions in my life. Because when I'm tired, I might make decisions that don't really serve me very well, but might feel good in the moment, but they don't serve my bigger vision for my life, like eating a donut or whatever. Not that I don't ever let myself eat yummy things, but food is a big one. When you're tired, you tend to sort of talk yourself into eating the things you might not eat if you were more rested, right? Same things happen. You might choose to watch something on Netflix versus write a chapter of your book, right? Like there's just decisions that we make when we're tired tend to serve our ego versus our higher self. So what can you do? What can you do when you wake up this way and you start hearing those thoughts? And it happens again to some degree, to some level. It probably happens a little bit every day, but there's things you can do to really help yourself shift out of it. First and foremost is you can start the night before by actually creating a really good nighttime routine for yourself. And I know you've heard this before, so you probably are like, I know what she's gonna say. So if you know what I'm gonna say, you know that I'm gonna tell you to turn off the news, turn off social media, turn off any screens at least an hour before your head hits the pillow, because your mind is very visual. It's going to retain those things. If you're watching something violent, or if you're watching the news, or if you're watching something that's going to cause your emotions to get higher, even if it's something like a movie, you're going to maybe take some of those threads into your sleep with you that might actually disturb your sleep. So starting at night, you might want to create a relaxing routine for yourself, whether it's taking a bath or a shower, reading a book that's relaxing, not a violent book, or you are maybe doing some stretching, maybe you're doing some yoga, maybe you're doing some writing in your journal, maybe a gratitude practice, things that actually bring your joy factor higher, right? So that you can take that into sleep with you. Then you might notice that when you wake up, you're actually already in a much better state of mind. The next thing to do is to take some breaths, like actually get into your body, realize it's happening, and say, okay, this is happening to me. I can hear my thoughts. Let me take some nice deep breaths, and realize that your thoughts are not you. You are not your thoughts. Once you have a little bit of separation from your thoughts, you actually start to notice what they are, and then you can consciously say, okay, I'm noticing my thoughts. This is not what I want to be thinking. Let me choose to focus on something I'm grateful for. And it could be very, very simple. I know people have had a hard time with this. They've told me, like, where do I focus when I'm feeling really shitty? You actually start to focus on, okay, I'm awake, I'm alive, I have a bed to sleep in, I have a pillow, I have people who love me, my heart is beating, there are people who did not wake up today, there are people who died last night. I mean, you can get, a little gory if you want to, but that does help me, like, wow, I'm alive and I have an opportunity. And you start to wonder, like, wow, I wonder what kind of positive difference I can make today. I wonder if there's someone I can help today. And you start sort of getting outside of those negative thoughts and actually pointing in the positive direction. I know it's easier said than done, but that's why I'm going to share with you one final thing that is going to start helping you build this habit automatically over time, because I know that this is easier said than done. The other thing you can do is actually start moving your body. When you move your body, you start getting out of your mind a little bit. Even if it's just a few stretches in bed, even if you don't have a lot of mobility, you can still do something. You can stretch your wrists, you can stretch your ankles, you can move in bed in a way that feels good to you, and start breathing. And that will start to get you out of that monkey mind, that automatic ego-based gremlin thought track, right? That's why I'm a big believer in finding stillness and silence and breathing meditations through your day, because it actually gives you a skill set of coming back into your breath, coming back into your body. And your breath, some people say, and I've heard this now several times, I can't even remember where I've heard it now, but the quality of your life is connected to the quality of your breath. And so if you're not used to pausing and taking some nice deep breaths, you might be breathing in a very shallow way that is actually not even getting enough oxygen to your body, to your innermost soul part of you, like your lungs will put as much oxygen out into your body as you are putting in, right? It doesn't have more to give than you give yourself. So if you're not giving yourself enough oxygen by taking deep breaths, then your body's unable to bring oxygen to those parts of your body. You might be feeling stiff. You might be feeling disconnected from your body. Well, your breath can really help you to reconnect. So finally, you might be wondering, like, okay, this all sounds great, but where do I start? Like, you give me a lot of things, I don't know where to start. So I'm going to come back to what I was talking about in the beginning, which is my magic morning practice. It's a habit. It's a 3-step habit that I teach you how to create a very, very simple practice around activating your mind, your body, and your soul, or spirit, however you want to call it, first thing in the morning, right when you wake up, so that you start building in this habitual connection with your higher self, with your movement practice, with your gratitude practice. And I'm telling you, this is the one thing that if I'm working with a client and they tell me like, oh my gosh, everything seems to be out of whack, I don't even know where to start, I feel so overwhelmed. And I ask my client, okay, tell me about your morning practice. How's it going? And all of a sudden they're like, dope. Oh, I totally have slipped. I haven't done it for a month. And then I know that we don't need to fix everything in your life, because everything in your life is actually connected. It's rooted to the daily habits that you practice. And one of the most important ways that you can create shift and change in your life is by creating shift and change in your morning. I love to say the way you start your day is the way you show up in your life, to your work, to the people who love you, to yourself, to your dreams, to your visions, to your projects. If you're starting your day, like as soon as you wake up, you're going at 50 miles an hour, trying to take care of everyone else, and you don't stop until you hit the pillow again at night, you're basically living in a life of somebody else's priorities, right? There's a couple of episodes back where I recorded a podcast episode called The 6 False Agreements Women Make. You might want to scroll back to that one, because it is one of the most transformational awarenesses that my clients have. I taught it as a masterclass, and I give you a really great synopsis of it. In this episode, I'll link to it in my notes as well. But the 6 false agreements that women make are basically living for other people, not in a positive way, not in a giving Mother Teresa kind of way, but a self-sacrifice, not living your own life kind of way. So this is one of the things that one of the practices that are very easy to do, will not take you more than 3 to 5 minutes at the least. You can make it as long as you want. There's days where I just have a few minutes to do my practice. Like today when I went to yoga, I did a short and magic morning practice because I knew I was gonna do more meditation and more movement once I got to the yoga class. Some days, if I'm traveling, or if I'm speaking on a stage, or I'm doing a video or a photo shoot, whatever it is, something that requires more of my energy, like teaching at a retreat, I will do a very long, extended magic morning practice, because it is managing your energy. It is aligning your energy. It is allowing you to show up for other people with a very elevated, higher vibration. Talk about like law of attraction and manifestation. If you are in a place of depression or down energy, which is basically what I was describing earlier, which is, either reliving the past and rehashing it and hovering there, or worrying about the future, that is a very easy slope into depression. I'm talking about this from personal experience. I know exactly what it feels like to be so sad and so depressed that you can't see the light at the other side of this experience. And in that, I know that the way to get out of it, there's many, many ways. And if you're feeling like you're someone who is in a very low state of depression, please, there's so many amazing ways to get help for mental health these days. There's I can find some resources for you and put in the notes for sure. There's even you can find amazing therapists in your area online, that there's an app for it now. I can't remember the name. I should get it and I'll put it in the notes, where they match you up with a therapist, and you can basically live chat them, or phone call, or video chat. I mean, honestly, I think everyone should have a good therapist or a good coach who's based in transformational processes, because there's no reason why someone needs to stay in that space. There's so many things you can do now, between movement practices, between all kinds of ways to engage your energy to help you realize your potential and not to stay stuck. So again, that's a whole other topic. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a licensed therapist by any means. But if you need a referral, I do have some amazing connections who might be able to point you in the right direction. So if that's you, please don't suffer in silence. I know there's times in my life where I did suffer in silence, and I didn't really, it's not in my culture to ask for help in that way, because I grew up in a Russian family, and we were an immigrant family, and basically it was survival, right? We came to America, my parents were both working a lot. I had to figure things out on my own, and it wasn't we didn't really have a culture in our house where we sat down talking about our feelings, you know. Things happen like divorce and all kinds of stuff that happened in my life, and no one really ever sat me down and said, well, how do you feel about that? I just sort of had to figure it out on my own. And that type of inattention to my feelings and my inner landscape led me to depression, and actually led me to do the work that I'm doing today, because I believe in the power of inner work and self-awareness and movement practices on the daily, not just once in a while, not just when you're feeling bad, but all the time, because they keep you in a place of consciousness. They keep you in a place of, seeing that things are possible, building community around yourself. All these things that we have to do for ourselves are even more important these days when the world around us seems very chaotic. So if you need any support, please reach out. Do not suffer in silence. We need to really normalize the fact that everyone has cycles and rhythms of sadness and depression, and shit happens in life. People pass away, people get sick, crazy things happen around the world, politics is a mess. So we all need support. We all need someone to talk to. So I know I'm talking about just what do you do when you wake up feeling shitty, but honestly, if you find yourself doing that for a long time and you need some support, this is a great place to start. The Magic Morning Practice is a great practice to start, but if you find you can't even quite get there, then just reach out to someone in your community, reach out to me. I can hook you up with a resource, but just don't suffer in silence, please. We all have those periods when we need support, and it's very important to be able to reach out. Okay, that went somewhere that I didn't know it was going to go, but that's okay. That's all right. It's really important. So anyway, thank you so much for being here today. And if you are looking for a community of women led by me, over the last 5 years, we've had tears and celebrations and laughter and connections and babies born and all kinds of stuff. And we welcome new faces and hearts in the community all the time. So if you do find yourself in a place where you're like, you know what, I really want to be in a community of like-minded women having soul-nourishing conversations, I want to have resources, I want to learn, I want to grow, I want to evolve, then I invite you into the Divine Self-Care Circle. And again, if you're joining in February, you get all the goodies. You get all of my courses in one place. So it's really, really a huge bonus that I have never offered in the past. So happy Valentine's to you. All right. Thank you so much for being here. Again, this is Elena Lipson, founder of the Divine Self-Care Circle and the Meditations and Musings Podcast. Thank you so much for the grace of your time and space, and I'll see you on the next episode. Go have an incredible day or evening, and go take care of yourself. I'll see you soon.